Hey everybody, welcome back to an episode of Meant to Be Monday. I am your host, Paul Turner, and I'm looking right at you when I say this. You're fired. Have you ever heard those words? I have, unfortunately. Not once, but twice. And it wasn't for doing anything immoral or illegal or anything like that. It was more one of those conversations where you have, Brother Paul, we just feel like this might not be the right fit for you here. Those kind of conversations. And you know what? First time that it happened to me, I was probably 26, 27 years old. And probably the next time I heard that was probably around 30 years old, 31, somewhere around there. And I was still a very young man, but I want to pass on to you at least 5 things that you really need to keep in mind and keep in focus. First of all, I'm still here. I'm making videos, right, about youth ministry. I'm not too bitter or anything like that. I mean, I still remember have those flashbacks and things like that go on. But I want to give you confidence today that if you are fired or find yourself in that position where, maybe you haven't been fired, maybe you just didn't let go, or you couldn't find, the church couldn't afford to pay you and you had to move on, something like that. But if you get into that situation, let me offer you the things that really helped me get through. Number 1 is forgiveness. And that is the first thing that I did, the first time that I got fired. I went home and I just said to myself, I have to forgive these people. But let me just say this. Emotionally, I was not on a level of forgiveness. Emotionally, I just was not there. And so what I had to do is I had to just forgive by faith. I had to let the words come out of my mouth first and then let the healing start to happen later. So my wife and I got together. We just huddled up, and she was sad and I was sad for her that I had made her sad, because I take my responsibility. It's my fault. It wasn't anybody else's fault but mine. For not meeting expectations or whatever they may be. And we prayed a simple prayer of forgiveness, asking God to forgive us, asking God to help us forgive others, and kind of move on from there. So the first thing you have to put in perspective when you're ready to do it is say, look, I need to just by faith forgive. The second thing that I probably went through and had to think about myself was self-worth. Because once you're fired from a position, there's that stigma that's on you about your self-worth, right? That I'm not a good youth pastor. I'm probably not called to youth ministry. What am I going to do? Nobody's going to want to hire me if I'm a fired youth pastor or whatever it may be. And let me give you the confidence in this, is that the church does not create your value, right? The church, I know as men, we look at our jobs, right? Women look at their homes, and that's kind of who defines us to some degree. But in reality, who we are in Jesus Christ creates our worth. And so we look at our job, we look at those things, and we say, wow, I'm not going to be able to do that anymore. And yes, it's sad, but you know what? You're still of value to God. You're still valuable to God in ministry, and maybe it's not youth ministry at that point, maybe it's doing something else for that time being, but your value as a believer and as a Christian and as a human being to God, just because you lost your job does not mean that you're of no value. The third thing that really I had to look at and be able to do is be able to reach out. And shame and stigma and all those things, we don't want to admit to anybody we got fired. We don't want to admit to anybody because that says we're a loser, and we don't want to post that anywhere. We don't want to do any of those things, and it's just it's a hard time for anybody. But let me encourage you, reach out to people around you and let them just give you a big hug. Let them talk to the youth ministry community. Be able to share your feelings with some very, very close friends or some senior pastors you may know, or people that are important in your life, and really pour out your heart. And don't skip it. Really talk about how you feel and really kind of get that out of your system, get that poison out of your blood there, so that you can be able to move on and be able to heal there. But you're going to have to be able to reach out and get past the stigma of I'm fired and I'm a terrible person. And you got to be able to sit down with people and have a cup of coffee and begin to share your heart with people about why you're at where you're at and why you feel the way you feel. The fourth thing you look at is you look at your options. Well, what do I do next? Should I go into another church? Should I be this youth pastor on the rebound kind of thing? Should I take some time off? Look at your options. Talk with your family. Talk with your wife and say, what do you want to do? Are we built for this thing called working in a church? Because sometimes we find out after our first time or second time, we find out whether or not we're built for this sort of thing, or whether or not we're just heaping abuse upon ourselves. And so you look at your options and say, well, maybe I'm not supposed to work in a church. Maybe I'm supposed to work in another kind of ministry, or maybe I'm supposed to be bivocational, where all my time isn't spent at the church, or and this is something you just come after much time and much prayer and say, what do I want to do? Last thing is stay positive. Hardest thing for me to do. Hardest thing for me to do, because in my life I just wanted to, I don't, it took a long time for get some of that poison out of my system about churches and about pastors and about all those things. And so probably for me, the number one thing I had to do was I had to stay positive. I had to talk and speak well of the people, that I left these churches, that I did not get online. Thank God there wasn't any social media back then. I mean, there just wasn't. I mean, I guess I could have done something on MySpace, but I don't know if anybody was watching then. But the point is this, is to be able to stay positive in your own heart, to say, look, once I've gone placed and forgiven and those kind of things, when I got fired, I didn't post anything. I would advise in this age, don't post anything negative about your church. Don't talk about your pastor. Don't talk about people in the congregation. Don't do any of those things, because it will just come back to get you there. If you need to vent, like I said, go back and reach out to friends and reach out to people that you can talk with and get that poison out. Don't put that poison out in the public, because all it's going to do is reflect back onto you. And then it just turns into craziness after that. So, but anyway, I hope that you're not fired. I hope that you do have your job. I hope that you are pleased with where you're at in life. But if you're not, let me just tell you what, God still has plans for you. You may think I'm on the shelf and I can't get this done, and God doesn't have any place for me. Let me tell you what, God has a place for you, whether it's full-time, part-time, bivocational, whatever that is. You are valuable to God. And take it from somebody, once again, who has been in that position, been in those places where you got to go home and break that news to your wife, and you got to tell your kids you're moving, and you got to do that stuff. It is no bueno, not good at all. And I understand this, that God still loved me, God still cared about me, and there is a way forward for you. So anyway, thanks for joining me today for Meant to Be Monday. If this is your first time here, thanks for hanging out with me for the first time. I hope that you found value in this. I hope that you find value in this community that we're trying to build here on YouTube. Please, if you have comments, please leave them down below. If you would like videos like this in your inbox, please hit the subscribe button right there, and that will get videos like this in your inbox. And of course, if you're a regular and you find yourself in a situation where you're dealing with these things and emotions, or you have nobody to talk to, I'd be happy to do that. Just leave me a comment, or send me an email or anything like that. I'd be happy to walk with you through the process and tell you how I work through it myself. But anyway, thanks you for being a part. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up button. That lets me know you like it and you want more of it. And of course, tomorrow is Tuesday Panic, so tune me in for that tomorrow. And I'll see you guys next time. You guys have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.